on our side. Your love is on our side.
Saturday is over! That was so quick because we were only here at like 6:30 and it's only like, okay, it's like 5 o'clock, 6:30. Okay, that's a lot longer than I thought it was, but it feels like so quick, even though I have a lot of stuff I have to do before tomorrow, but whoa, we're done! I think every time I do anything chaplain related, it's reminded to me constantly how flexible you have to be. Ooh, so flexible. And I think I do like that portion of it because when things get put on your plate last second, you have to trust God, and you have to trust that God has provided you the skills in order to do these things. So my anxiety definitely decreases a little bit. I mean, at first I'm like, oh my goodness, I have all this stuff to do, but then I'm like, okay, well God wants me to do this, and he thinks I'm good for it, so we're gonna do it. But today was really busy, which is great, but the time passed by really fast. And this morning we had this little, so in the chapel office people request for invocations for like retirement ceremonies and things like that. And so we get them, especially with reservists, you get them, it could be a couple times a weekend because they're saving it up. So all month long, anybody that's retiring, you have to, if they request a chaplain, you go do that. So this morning at our meeting, my hair is just everywhere. I have got to figure out how to keep my hair down a little better. But this morning we had this piece of paper sitting on the table, and I feel like this has been a theme in my little year of the Air Force. Is I'll get this little feeling inside of me that's like, you're gonna do that. That one's yours. And every time I have that feeling, it always happens and it always comes true. And so this little request was on the table, and it was for a retirement ceremony. And I was just kind of eyeing it, and I was like, that's gonna end up being mine. I'm gonna have to go do that. Because I think the more that I learn and the more that I have like experience doing something, so if I do like one thing, the chapel office is like, oh, you did that once, we're gonna go do it again. So I saw that and I was like, that's probably gonna be mine. And then so today, after we ended the day, one of the chaplains came up to me because tomorrow we won't have that many chaplains, I think. So one of the chaplains came up and she's like, oh, do you want to do this invocation for this retirement ceremony? And I was like, why are you asking me that question? I was like, no, I don't want to do that, because it is a little weird, because I don't have a cross on. So if there is, and if I don't really know some of the squadrons, I know, so I'll walk in, they know my face now, walking around the chaplains, but I don't know if I know this squadron the best. And so that's kind of weird, like me walking in saying I'm coming from the chaplain's office, because they're used to like the cross. So that is a little weird sometimes, being a candidate. But she was like, do you want to do this? And I was like, nah, I don't know. I was like, why are you asking me that question? I was like, I don't know how to do this. And so I was like, wow, okay, I guess I'll do it. And I was like, I was looking at that paper this morning, and I was like, that's probably gonna end up being mine. And that's never happened before, but I feel like every time those moments come up, it happens. So I was like, I kind of already knew this was gonna happen. She was like, well, good, because it's gonna happen. I was like, okay, great. Then I was like, well, as long as the chaplain assistant can come with me, because we at that point would just have, during that time of the day, it's just gonna be me and then another chaplain, and that's it. So he has to do unit and visitations. So I was like, well, as long as I could take the chaplain assistant with me. So we're waiting to talk to the chaplain assistant to be like, hey, can you come with Lieutenant Ramus to do the service? And then the wing chaplain was like, no, you don't need 2 people to go. Just let Lieutenant Ramus go do it. It's fine. I was like, no, I don't know. And then, like at that moment, another person called for an award ceremony to have an invocation for. They're like, oh, just while you're over there, go do that too. I was like, are you kidding me? So, yeah, so the first invocation I did, that was pretty big deal. I mean, there was like 400 people there. It was this big shebang. And that took me about a week to make up that invocation, and this one is going to take me tonight, and I have to do other stuff for the weekend, and I have seminary, so see how that goes. But definitely learned, and that's after at the last second the wing chaplain being like, oh, you're gonna do newcomers meeting again today. So what that is when someone comes on the base, they have to go through newcomers meeting, which is they sit through lots of briefings and they go through what every office can help them out with on base. And so the chaplains do it, so they've decided that I am the one that gets to go do those now. I had that, and then I had to go get my uniforms altered, which took a while, and then I saw a friend from school, which is really cool. He was there like in his Army PTs, and I was like, I saw him, I was like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm sure he was like, no, I think he didn't remember who I was, but it's fine. He was very nice about it. But I'm sure he then was like, why are you in uniform? Like, what happened? Like, how are you in uniform right now? Like, why did you join the, like, when did you join the military? But, so that was cool. And then we have a Saturday women's study that we started, and that's kind of me and then another ministry. So I had all that today. Which is, I mean, I love that I have so many responsibilities as a candidate. I think it's really very cool, because then it frees up stuff for the chaplains, which I really like. So if I can do something like create flyers or head up this women's ministry, or do worship services on Sunday, or do invocations, it frees it up so the chaplains can do things like counseling, or they can go do unit engagements, or they just things that they couldn't do if I wasn't there to help. So I really appreciate that. But all that said, I definitely have learned that being a chaplain, you have to be very flexible, and at the last minute something might come up and you have to be ready to go and do it, and you have to feel confident in yourself to do that. So the invocation that I did do, the first one I did with 400 people, obviously I was really nervous about it, but I had to trust that God would prepare me for that, and that I would do well. And I think that's one thing I was thinking, like driving on my way home, I was like, why are these things so difficult for me? And I really think a lot of it has to do with, I want to, number one, I want to do well. But I think a lot of it has to do with, even though I'm very new at all of this, like my first times doing these things, I still want to do, I really want to do it justice. Like I really want to do it really well. And I don't want these people to not have a good retirement ceremony because the chaplain candidate didn't know how to pray well. Or they didn't write their prayer very well. And so that's one thing that driving home, I was like, the kind of the pressure that I feel is this is, you know, I'm still in the process of in the time frame to where this is kind of still everything that I do is probably the first time I've done it ever in my life, and I want to do it well. Like I don't want these people, like I definitely don't want them to think, well, that's the first time she's ever done it. I don't want them to do that. I want them to almost not even think about how I did, because I did it well. I don't want them to reflect on, man, that was a bad invocation, or wow, that seems like her first time she ever done it. But just to where it's seamless, to where it's, you know, all they think about it, if they do think about it, all they think about is, wow, that was pleasant. That was great. Or not like great, like, but just, that was very nice and put together. But definitely the flexibility is huge. And so I kind of caught myself in that of just like, I was like, my hands were already sweating, like as these invocations are rolling in, I was like, oh my gosh. But I have to trust that God wanted me to, you know, he knew that was going to be something that was going to be put on my lap. He's already given me the opportunity to do it once in front of like a massive crowd of important people. And so I have to trust that he's already equipped me with the skills to do it. So that's one huge thing that I've learned with being a chaplain is your days and your moments and your minutes, they change very often. What your schedule might be are very different. So like today, I mean, I saw some people like in the parking lot, and that's why I was kind of late for some stuff, is I saw people in the parking lot and they just like want to talk to you about their life, and because they know that you're like from the chaplain office, and so that's some things that if you like set plans, that's nice, but when you're a chaplain, you have to be very, very okay with okay, my timing might not be as strict as I would like it, or I might be a little bit late to something, which you don't want to be, but or plan out, almost like plan ahead for somebody to stop you in the hallway. That's good. Do that. Don't be late, but plan ahead. Plan ahead that no matter where you walk, and that's even me as a candidate. And I've made friends with people, and I think that's why. And they know my face now is from like the office, but plan out time for people to stop you, because you want that. You want people to be like, hey, can I talk to you for like 2 seconds, or come to the office and do counseling, things like that. That's part of unit engagement, is like you just walk into lunch and people wanting to have lunch with you or sit down with you or talk to you. So I'm just sharing life with them. I think it's so cool. But being flexible is huge. Like, I kind of got caught up in that today of, okay, I need to be flexible, because if I'm not flexible, I'm gonna have a bad attitude about it, or my biggest thing is I'm not gonna feel confident. Whoa. I'm not gonna feel confident about it. So then I'm gonna get there, and then it's just all gonna go downhill because I'm not being confident. And that's the only reason why something doesn't go well. That's just like not a good enough excuse for me. So chaplain, you gotta be, or candidate right now, but you have to definitely be flexible. Being flexible with this is, these invocations come, and they come often, or they come all at once, and you have to say, okay, well, I'm going to do this one at this time, and then I'm going to walk over this one at this time, and then I'm going to walk over and do that after I've already done services, and then I'm going to walk over and do. So just knowing that, why you're doing it, and just being thankful that they want a chaplain to be there, because most of the time, you don't have to have a chaplain at those things. So that's very cool, and getting to build that relationship with them, even if they are retiring. But obviously something a part of them wants spirituality to be part of their ceremony, even if we don't have like a personal relationship with them at that moment. So being flexible is huge, and praying for flexibility, and just praying that the confidence that even if you might have to do something, put something together last minute, that God in that moment will help you out. And that's been one of the hugest things that I've understood about God while drilling, is I don't have the time to freak out about something. I don't have the time to sit there and stress out about it and pre-plan days and weeks and months in advance. There's no time for it. You have to do it like in 5 minutes. So you have to give like a briefing, or invocation, or a sermon, or something like that, or like we had a commander's call today, so giving a little 5-minute sermon, like that's on the spot. That's not something you can really prepare for. So you have to trust that God will provide at that moment, that He will help you out, and you have no time to not be confident. So if you're gonna put your confidence in anything, you place it in God. And it's just been so cool to see that every single time God has been there, and seeing that work in the other chaplains has been phenomenal. So I'm super excited that, for these invocations, I'm nervous. My hands are already sweating. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna write? Like, I've never done this before. But knowing that God's gonna equip me for that, and if I'm doing it for God, wouldn't you think that He wants it to be good? Because I'm doing it for His glory, so wouldn't you think that He wants to step in? And I'm definitely going to pray for allowing that too, and that I don't get caught up in my feeling like I'm not confident enough, or feeling like I'm not good enough for that. So yeah, be flexible as a candidate or a chaplain.